Okay, now in this video, we're going to talk about the index command. In the last video, we talked about sorting, and we talked about how an index can be a little bit of an alternative. Now, the question that we're asked in exercise 2 is when might you use the index command instead of the sort command? Now, what an index does is it pre-sorts your table and it puts it into the order of the index, or at least it has an alternative record of the table in that pre-sort. Now, if you use an index, it's only really useful if you've got a lot of records. We don't really deal with a lot of records in this course. None of our databases are really that big, but we can add an index to speed up our searches. If we use an index, it will be faster than sort to sort our tables because it's already done. Unfortunately, it will also mean that whenever you add data to the records, that's when it's doing the sorting. So that will take up more time. So when you're adding data to an index table, it will be much, much slower. Well, maybe not much, but a bit. If you then go to search for records, it will be quite a bit quicker. And of course, sort, when you use it, will generate an index on the fly. So it's actually generating an index when you do a sort, putting all the stuff into order, all the fields and records into order and shuffling them about. Indexing doesn't need to do that because it's already done with the index. So there's less working disk space required for sort. So sort is slower, it needs more disk space than index. Subsequently processing the entire file, so adding new records to it. It's going to be quicker with sort because there's no index to create whenever you add a record. It's going to be slower with index because that index is being updated all the time whenever you're adding records. And searching for records will be much quicker with index and much slower with sort. To create an index, this is how you go about doing it. I'll open up AP-Trans because that's the one we're looking at. Now, see over here in the top right-hand corner, we have this index item up here. That's where the indexes will appear. Now, what you're going to do is add an index, and then you can swap around in the view to move that same data, same underlying table, according to the index. Now, I could just go into data and sort it. I could sort it that way. That's what we did in the last exercise. Data index is this one. So we can index it, we can put multiple indexes on, so we can actually have multiple fields. We're just asked to do vendor number. So I'll pick up index on here, put vendor across there, which is already there. I can edit that and do all sorts of wonderful things. I can make it an ascending or a descending index. We want it an ascending index. Click OK. We better give it a name though, and that will be IMDVIP. Off we go. So up in the top right-hand corner, here's our index. We're now using that index. It's sorted it by vendor number. If I go back to none, it goes back to how it was in the first instance. I'll click back here to index. If we go, there we are. Now, to report a listing, to produce a report listing all vendors by vendor number, name the index file IMDVP. Well, there it is there, and we've got it all sorted by index. Now that is there anytime I want. I can flick back and forth between these different indexes, if you like. Now, I can use the search feature, and this will show how it is much quicker. So what I'm going to do, I've got the index fired up. I've got vendor number fired up. So I've just selected vendor number. Here's my IMDVP. Instead of going up to here using the find, I'm going to go here, data, search. This is going to use the index. Now, seek expression is where we just type in. We've already told it we want vendor number, 12701 in quotes. So let's search. And bang, we've got it. So it's moved us to the record. the whole table is still there, unlike when we filter it using the top bar. I've just moved to 12701. If I switch back to my index, you'll see that I'm still sitting on the record that I was in, but they're not ordered according to vendor number. It's whatever the natural order of the table was to start with. Now, exercise D, we just did C, we're now doing D. Create a conditional index. So the conditional index is a subset. So I just want a subset of records that match this index is what I'm going to end up with. So we'll go into data, we'll go in and do an index. Again, it's vendor number, so I'll click on that. I'm going to put an if in. So here's our index, here's our if statement. We're told we want to call this index VAN12433. This is like creating a different view of the data. It may be a bit cumbersome using index though to flip between a lot of views, but for a few key views, this would be quite useful, a quite useful way of storing a view. Here's an if, pick up our vendor number, equals 12433. Verify that, that should be all good. Yes, it is. Click OK. So we've now, its vendor number is the index. We've got an if statement there. We're giving it a name. Click OK. Then 12433. So 12433, we've now got that view there. It's sorted. Here is our venue, and I can switch back and forth between the different indices. And if I take a look at my log, so there's all of, I want this one here. So that view there is going to give me my index. Okay, so there's all the, I can see what I've done on here. Okay. That's everything I need really. Now, the final step is, going back to our overview, is having created these indices, I might like to delete them. Easily done by right-clicking on AP Trans. So on the table itself, click on the properties, General, Notes, Views, Indexes. Those are the two indexes we created. I could click on add and it calls up the same dialog box before, so that's another way of adding these indexes. And I can just simply, if I delete VEN1233, immediately it swapped me back to a non-view, took me out of that index because it had been deleted. Delete the other index, it's deleted. Do I need to do this? No, I don't need to do this. Probably wouldn't do it with an active file, but if I've created a lot of indexes that are a bit misleading or I made one by error, that's how I can delete them. That takes care of that task. Indexes, you probably won't need them in this course, but if you're finding it slow to find records, it's a very useful tool.